stops. Answers fade like drops on a broken ticking clock.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Hanging Out with Chops. Like always, a big shout out to all you returning listeners. Thank you for coming back to check out another episode. And to all you new listeners, hey, thanks for stopping by and checking us out. Guys, one of the great things about these podcasts is that I'm able to see where a lot of these listeners are coming from, and I'm quite surprised that some of these podcasts are worldwide. So welcome to all you listeners from Russia, from Germany, from Singapore, Thailand. Man, I'm really shocked that you all are listening. I saw there are so many other countries, but man, these are the ones that really kind of caught me off guard. And guys, thanks for tuning in. This is going to be a fun one, guys. The past episode was a little intense. We were breaking down the number system, and we went through all kinds of scenarios of changing keys and why the number system is so useful and so helpful in the real world applications, especially in the studio where time and money is short, and we want to make the most of it. But today is going to be a little different. We're gonna have a fun one. Today we're gonna reach into our fan mail, and I made a list of questions that some come from the fan mail, some come from other people that have just asked me these questions randomly, and I figured, hey, what a better time to hit them than now. So, thanks for stopping by. You're hanging out with Chops. Let's do this.
We're hanging out with Chops. Time just never stops. Answers fade like drops on a broken ticking clock.
Well, right off the bat, there's a whole bunch of questions here, and they're really great questions. A lot of questions like, how do you keep your ears fresh during mixing? What gear do you think is overrated? But one of them did catch my eye right away. And it's because I've had a lot of experience with this. If your studio caught fire or if your console caught fire, what's that one piece of gear you'd grab on your way out? Great question. Great question. Now, I've actually had two scenarios where this happened. Hey, I've been in this business a long time, getting close to 30 years now. And fires, believe it or not, happen. And it happened in two different studios. The first one was one of my first studios that I personally owned. And this is how it went down. I was mixing, and I heard a crack, like a 2x4 snapping, crack, and it was loud. And I was like, that's weird. I'm like, that's weird that somebody's working on construction so early. It was early in the morning, and I was getting a jump on a mix with fresh ears. And then I caught that smell. And I don't know if you barbecue and stuff, but if you barbecue, you know what barbecue smells like, whether it's charcoal or mesquite. It does have a particular scent to it. But you also know what burning 2x4 smells like, or burning pallets. And that was this smell. Just out of curiosity, I was like, let me just peek out the window. I peeked out the window, and my neighbor's house was completely engulfed in flames. I looked at my place, and my roof had already caught fire. Hey, and like anything else, we all say, hey, you know what? I would grab this and I would grab that. But when it all came down to it, F the gear, honestly. And I had good gear. I already had an impressive mic locker at that time. Gear could be replaced. What couldn't be replaced was all the work I had done with the gear. So there was two things I grabbed. And in this order, I grabbed my cat, Mr. Kitay. This is a pre-Walter. This is before I had gotten Walter, my famous little Chiweenie. I actually had a cat before that. I used to call him Kitay. Grabbed him, and I grabbed all my hard drives. I had them all in one spot, grabbed them, and I booked it. And I was out. That's it. I made no attempt at trying to salvage anything. There was no way I was going to risk my life. It's just gear, guys. It's all replaceable. Yeah, and it was a total loss. I lost everything. But it's not like, oh, woe is me. Nah, I've never been that kind of guy. I was like, well, that was that. It's time to rebuild. And I did. Cut my losses, and I rebuilt from scratch. And I built my second studio. This time, not from my house. I actually got a real commercial property, with insurance and all that good stuff. And if this ever happened again, I wouldn't have to worry about it. But, when it did go down, I did not even think of the gear. I thought of all the work and all the hours I had done. And that was the one thing I did want to save. I wanted to save my archives, and I did. I said, F the computers, F all the gear. I got my drives, I grabbed my cat, and I'm out. Second story, and this was actually more comical than anything else. I do work now at this very large studio with a couple of engineers, we're all here full time. We're all, on staff. And maybe about 2-3 years ago, I guess one of the AC units, I guess maybe a fan belt or something got stuck, and it started smoking, and before you knew it, the smoke started coming in through the vents, and it wasn't filling up the studios. It started filling up the hallway first. So I was very calm, and I checked, and I was like, okay, something's wrong, but it's not a huge master fire. But what was funny was one of the engineers here, he went full DEFCON 5. He was like, oh my God, we're all gonna die. He went to that mode. But even him, in his most panic state, he thought the same thing. And all three engineers, we all met at the same spot in the server room. And we were all unplugging drives. That's the first thing we went for. I guess nobody was even thinking gear. We were thinking, if this is the worst, which we didn't really think it was, but in case it was, the first thing we went and grabbed all our drives. So there's a little tip for y'all. Especially now that we work with so much from room to room, and now that technology is fast enough that we're able to read and write off drives. Everything is on SSD drives. So it's happened, emergencies. So we do grab our drives, and we'll let the rest burn if it happens. But we're not risking our lives for gear, because the bottom line is gear can be replaced, guys. All the work and all the hours you spent, that can't be replaced. But it was kind of funny though, because he was also, this is it. This is the big one. And really, it was all we did was turn off the AC and for that one particular area, and we opened the doors, and we let the smoke clear, and sure enough, the maintenance guy went up there and checked it out for us, and sessions went on as normal. Nothing got canceled, and we just had another funny story, to add to our list of funny stories. Anyway, great question, guys. Thank you for sending that in. Let's move on. Here's another good one I got. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be? I want to say I touched on this on one of the very early episodes. And this one gets kind of deep, and it's maybe more about life than really practical practices in the studio. But one of the advice that I would give to myself or any new engineer at this is don't place all your hopes and dreams on this career. And I'm not trying to dog this career, because it's a beautiful career and it's fun. You're doing what you love. But I would always say, first and foremost, learn to make money. It's that simple. If this is the skill that gets you to that, and this is what helps you make money, and you never have to worry about money ever again by doing mixes and mastering and recording bands, great. But for a lot of engineers I've seen throughout my life, hey, none of us are driving Lambos here. None of us. Much less a pink one and a purple one and a black one and a yellow one and an orange one and, a fleet of Lambos and, a fleet of Rolls Royces. We're not. So learn to make money. Learn to invest. Make your money work for you. Don't put all your hopes and dreams into becoming a superstar. It's not going to work. And if it does, hey, my hat's off to you. But for everyone else, get into investing early while you're young. Set up your retirement plans. Get your Roth IRAs. Get into stocks. Get into properties. Intellectual rights stuff. Hey, writing songs is way better than mixing them. Quite honestly. You'll make copyright money. You'll make publishing money. Write books. I guess in a nutshell, guys, don't try to make this one dream. Try to make all your other dreams come true. It's too hard. All right, let's keep going. What's the biggest mistake you see new engineers make? That's easy. They try to fix everything in the mix. Bad recording practices. Bad miking. They think they can fix that in the mix. Yeah, bad technique. And for some reason, they think there's some magical answer. And they leave it all for the last minute. They're hoping that they'll get that sound at the end. And I hear all the mistakes. Hell, I used to do that all the time. I was very young at this. And I thought that, you just simply record and at the end you open up your can of magic and you sprinkle the magic on and boom, that's what you need. But it's not. You kind of have to start dialing it in from the very, very beginning. From your first building block, as soon as you start laying down your tracks, it has to sound close to what you want it to in your final mix. I mean, granted, you can add some magic, and sometimes we are responsible for being the magic makers in this, but trying to make it all happen in your last step, it's too hard and it's impossible, and it seems to be one of the biggest mistakes I do see. Have you ever fallen asleep during a session? Oh my God. Here's a funny one. Yes. As a matter of fact, on long takes or when I am extremely exhausted and I'm actually punching in and punching out certain sections, I do it with my eyes closed. I really do. I'll close my eyes behind the board and I have my finger on the 3, which is, record in, record out. So it actually starts the recording and punches you out. So there's certain parts that I know I need to punch. So with my eyes closed, I know what's coming up and I just boom, hit it out, hit it out. Or I'll take a quick cat nap in those 3 minutes that it takes somebody to record an entire vocal from beginning to end. Or someone that's going to do, rhythm guitar parts that they got them down and all they got to do is just really go in there and knock them out. So yes, I have fallen asleep. It has happened. Sometimes you do go into the wee hours of the night and, and you know what? It's funny, but falling asleep is really common around here, especially when a project has a couple of producers or a couple of engineers working on the same project, and your back is turned to everyone, so you're really just facing forward working on the mix, and sometimes you turn back and it's like bodies thrown everywhere. There's a body behind the drum kit and he's knocked out. Obviously all the couches get filled up first, and those guys are just crashed out, just snoring away. and some of the bigger bands that do come by sometimes, the ones that I'm talking about, that everyone's here, where the tour manager is here and the artist is here and the road crew is here and everyone's here, then that's bodies everywhere. I'm talking about bodies in the lounge, bodies on the couches everywhere, where everyone's, they're just tired. They've been here days and days and days. And, they're ready to go to the next stop. So they might be here recording, but they got to do a show next, or they got to go to a radio tour next or whatever. And everyone's just trying to get rest. So, and, it used to be kind of funny, but now you really realize, hey, these guys need their sleep, So I'll try to walk very, quietly by them, especially like if they're in the lounge and I'm trying to go to the restroom or the kitchen, and I just kind of tiptoe by and I try to be very quiet to not wake them up. Is there a song you've mixed that still gives you chills when you hear it? Yeah, there's a couple of them, and these are early on in my recording career. There's another engineer that I used to work with many years ago, and the other day we were talking about it, and it was this one cat, and I can't remember what the gentleman's name was, but he had written some gospel songs, and he came in, and he was very humble, and obviously was on a very tight budget, and he asked, how much was an hour of recording time, and we I think back then, this was mid 90s, maybe early 2000s, and I think I was charging a very inexpensive fee. So he came in for an hour, and very touching songs. That guy was pouring his heart out, and me and my buddy the other day were actually talking about that guy. Hey man, and we call him the Emmanuel guy, because we remember that one of the songs had a phrase about Emmanuel. And to this day, every time we hear those songs, I would say, there's been stages in my career. There's like the first 10 years, the second 10 years, the third 10 years, and there's a lot of music from that first 10 years where a lot of those people have just simply passed away. And when I hear any of those songs, or any friends of mine that worked on these projects, when we get together and we hear these songs, they mean a lot to us now, because at that point we really didn't know what we were doing. We were just starting, and we were just happy to get clients. But now that we look back and we know that, hey, this guy is gone, and some of them you got to see the dream fulfilled, and some of them, unfortunately, the dream stayed a dream. There was this one clique of rappers, and man, those guys gave it their all, and we kind of just lost track of them. But they recorded a lot of cuts with us. I'm talking about, they must have done at least 30-40 songs, and good stuff. They were all in, and then we kind of lost track of them. And me and my buddy were actually talking about them the other day, and just were wondering, hey, whatever happened to so and so. And sure enough, the majority of them have passed. One got shot and was killed. One of them died of a heart attack. I think a couple are just locked up and we'll probably never see again. But we still listen to their jams, and man, they had something going. Unfortunately, they just couldn't make all those points click and make it really happen for them. But yeah, I would say all those recordings from that first 10 years mean a lot to me, and mean a lot to a lot of my friends too, because we were all there together. Thank you. That's actually a really good question. How do you deal with artists who can't sing in tune, but they think they're killing it? Okay, that's a good one. I let them go for it. I'm very honest with them, and I tell them, hey, look, dude, by the time I'm done, it's going to be immaculate. Okay. I'm sure I've mentioned this before. I always say I don't have an emotion button. There's no way I can dial up your emotions. You really have to give me that. You can't fake that, so give it to me, sell it. I always say sell it, make me believe you. Now, if they're incredibly bad, hey man, as long as they're willing to work with me, I'm willing to work with them, and I'll get it out of them. That's one of the things I am very proud of. I can make anyone sing good. It'll take me some time. What I have done in the past is I'll have a guy come in and just butcher a song, and I'll be like, hey bro, stay in there, let me tune it up. And I tune him up, and it sounds completely auto-tuned, and you hear all those strange artifacts and all the and all the transients from the auto-tune slamming the note into pitch. But then I play it back for him, and I say, all right, dude, now sing along with yourself with this tuned version of you. And then they sing the second track. And I'm like, all right, dude, now let me tune that one. And I tune that one and I play it back and I have them sing along with themselves again, a little bit more in tune. And I'll do that 10 times if I have to. But eventually it'll ingrain in their brain what their voice should sound like in tune. Now, I don't like doing it. It takes a long time. But sometimes, hey, my name's on the project and I need to make sure that it sounds good. Yeah, guys, I'm not here to discourage anyone. Hey, if they're going for it, hey, it took a lot for all the tumblers to fall into place, for this guy to make it all the way to where I'm at, and for him to bring his talents and my talents together. So I never discourage anyone. If he thinks he's killing it, but he's really not, I never discourage him. I only encourage them to do their best and leave the rest up to me. I got it. How do you know when the mix is done? Really done? Great question. Here's the answer to this one, guys. And in the most honest way I can possibly answer this. How do you know when the mix is done? It's never done. Boom. There it is. It's never done. What is done is you make your peace with it. You look at the allotted time that you have to work on it. You look at the budget that you have to work with. And you look at, this is the best I can do with what I'm allowed. And that's it. You make your peace with it and you move on. If not, yeah, I mean, you could record, let's say drums. You can record a killer drum track. How do you make it better? You get better drums. All right. So now let's get them to record on better drums. What's better than that? Well, now you get a better drummer in front of the better drums. And then you can get better mics. And then you can get better cables. And then now you can sound replace. And now let's mic on top and the bottom. And now it's never ending. So at some point, when is the mix done? It's never done. You just make your peace with it and you turn it in. I hope that's not too honest for some of y'all. But hey, I'm trying to be honest with you. Be honest. Do you secretly judge people's mixes when you hear them on the radio? Absolutely. Yeah. And I always think of there's a quote in a Woody Allen movie where I think it's Hemingway talking about reading stuff from other authors. And he says, hey, what's your opinion on it? And he tells him something like, you know what? My opinion is I hate it. And he's like, well, you've never read it. And he's like, yeah, but I hate it because if it's bad, I hate it because it's bad. And if it's good, I hate it because you're better than me. So that's kind of a way I kind of hear about mixes, and I kind of feel like that. I'm like, man, if it's a crappy mix, I'm like, man, I hate it because it's a crappy mix. But if the guy just knocked it out of the park and did a fabulous job, I'm like, I hate that. I hate that MF guy. Why? Because he did such a good job. Damn it. I hate that guy. And I'll say that a lot about certain players, not just engineers, but sometimes when you see someone who's incredibly good, especially when I see players here that come in and, there's, hey, man, he did really good. And then there's the next level where, my God, this guy's incredible. And then it gets to the point, you know what? I hate that guy. Why is he so good? I hate that he is that good. And I'm not saying hate in a bad way, like I hate on him. But, man, it's like, really, sometimes you have to acknowledge just raw talent, and when someone is just they're so blessed at what they do that they just bring this envy out of you. I mean, I'll be very honest. They bring it out of me sometimes, and I'm like, why are you so good? Why are you so good? Why can't I get that good? Hey, but that's me being honest, dude, honestly. Have you ever had a mix totally rejected, and what did you do? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that happens. You can't take it personal, it's like cooking. As a matter of fact, we had this conversation today. I didn't even know this question was coming up, but yeah. There's a project I was working on. We kind of all heard it and stuff. We all were like, man, this came out good. And I'm not saying that because it was my project. Oh my God. No, it honestly was because of the players. And my part was pretty easy. When the best mix you can get is a good drummer behind a good drum kit, a good bass player behind the bass, a good guitar player behind that guitar. That's how you get great mixes, And we all acknowledge, hey man, this sounds great, And then we get that email where, hey man, can you forward it to this other engineer? He's gonna, give it a different spin. And hey, I don't take it personal. And it's like cooking, You salt to taste, and it has my taste on it, and a lot of people might like it, but the guy eating the plate may not enjoy it. And that's nothing personal. And I'm very cool with that because I've been on the other side of it where I've had mixes done for me and I'm like, I don't really like that. And I could have done this or whatever. Sometimes, you're just not happy with it and it is what it is. What's the most overused effect plug-in in modern music right now? Well, I would have to say probably EQing. And not because it's overused in a bad way, not by no means, but it seems to be like every single track nowadays has at least an EQ, And I'm not saying that to dog EQs, because sometimes, everything does need an EQ. But if a song has 30 tracks, the odds are you'll see 30 EQs up there. You may not see 30 compressors, 30 reverbs, 30 delays, but you will see 30 EQs if there's 30 tracks. What's the most valuable thing you've learned that has nothing to do with audio? That one's easy. The most valuable thing that I've learned that has nothing to do with audio is you gotta care. You gotta be cool. This is like going to see the dentist or the doctor, People don't come to recording studios very often. And when they do, you have to carry a light sword, You can't be just blasting away with opinions and trying to be funny. And, you got to be very sensitive with people's egos. Especially because by the time they come here, they've been working on their craft for years and they don't need somebody to be pooping on their efforts. So I always try to be cool. I always try to encourage. And if I see something that's lacking, I try to find a very constructive way of making it better without trying to make them feel bad. So that's something I have learned. How do you keep your ears fresh after hours of mixing? I turn off everything. Oh yeah. I'm that guy that when I drive home or I'm on the road, I may listen to a podcast or two, but a lot of times I do turn everything off. Believe it or not, running water. You might think this sounds crazy, but white noise and running water, man, it does really calm my ears. I actually have like a little water fountain that just water. The sound of water just really, really soothes my ears. Again, just taking a break from it, not watching TV all the time and not being plugged into your computer all the time. Giving your ears a chance to hear nothing really is the best advice I can give anyone. And protect your ears too. All right, guys, I think I got a little bit of time for maybe one or two more. What's the dumbest thing you've ever done in the studio that you'll admit publicly? What's the dumbest thing I've ever done that I'll admit publicly? Well, I'd probably say it's all those times that I stuck my foot in my mouth. One of the ones that I do remember is someone actually played back a mix to me of my stuff from I don't know how long ago, and I didn't know it was me. And that guy was like, what do you think? And I was like, oh, talking about this, talking about that. And then he was like, that's your stuff. And I was like, really? When did I record that? And he showed it to me. And I didn't know that was me. I just didn't remember. I don't remember the artist. I don't remember working on it. But, So, I don't know. Outside of the, there's other funny stuff, where the trips and falls in studios are hilarious, All right, last question. What's my number one studio pet peeve? Oh, this one's easy. Not being on time. Oh, man, that drives me crazy. Especially because we're on a schedule. And I try to be really forgiving. But, if we start, I always say 10 o'clock, and I mentioned that before. But if we start at 10, I expect you here. Well, I'm sure you've heard these stories. If we start at 10, I do like to meet, if it's the first time I ever meet a band, I like to meet them down the street at a restaurant. And that's kind of I'll see if they show up to time for that. If they show up on time for that. So if we're shooting for 10 o'clock, I might ask them, hey, meet me at 8:30 or meet me at 9. Let's grab a bite together. Let's talk about what we're going to do throughout the day and let's get our plan of attack together. And if I say, hey, let's meet at 8 or let's meet at 9, let's say let's meet at 9 and they show up at 9:30, then I kind of know how the day's going to go. Especially when I got a session drummer coming in and I got a bass player coming in and I have the day broken down. Like, let's say the band's going to be here for a week and I have, okay, dude, I need drummer coming in on Monday and I need him from 10 to 6 and then we're going to take a dinner break and then from 8 to so-and-so, I'm going to have so-and-so come in the next day, and you get that one first guy who's late and it just kind of throws the rest of the time off. What I do appreciate is the guys that are here ahead of time. So if I have a session guitar player at 2 and he shows up at noon, I love that. Because he's here and he already knows. He's like, where am I going to be recording? Hey, you're going to be in that room. Cool. Let me go put my guitar in there so that it gets conditioned to the temperature of that room. So when I go in there, strings aren't stretching or anything. So he goes and puts his guitar in there, and then he'll grab one of the studio guitars, and he'll sit there with me in the console. What are you working on? Well, I'm working on these drums. Cool. Can I play along so I can kind of start learning the song before I get in there? Yeah, absolutely. He'll grab maybe something quiet like a nylon guitar, and he'll be kind of quietly jamming along. And hey, by 1:30, he's got the songs down. Perfect. He wasn't in the way. He wasn't intrusive. He learned the song. He actually got me further ahead. He goes in at 2 o'clock, boom, knocks his parts out with efficiency and quickly. And he's out of the way. I actually love that. I love when one guy shows up way before his time and he's hearing the guy before him track. That way he's pre-learning the song, So I don't have to be printing out charts and stuff, I do appreciate it. So that is my pet peeve. Anyway, guys, thank you for hanging out. This was a fun episode. I know it was kind of deep at the beginning with all the fire stuff, but hey, it happens. I hope it doesn't happen to anyone, but it did happen to me. But besides all that, I hope you had fun on this one. I hope you had a couple of chuckles and a couple of laughs. And hey, the real world, we're here recording jams, trying to make history happen. Guys, if you enjoy the show, like I always say every podcast, please consider supporting the show. There's a Buy Me Coffee. Hey, you can become a subscriber. I think the lowest is $3 a month. It helps keep the podcast going. I do appreciate you being here. I'll catch you on the next one.
We're hanging out with chops. Time just never stops. Answers fade like drops on a broken ticking clock.